Let's be honest here, 2022 for boxing has just been a bit. That's not to say there hasn't been some good fights, but the fights that we all really wanted never really materialised. However, hopefully the boxing gods have punished us enough this year now so we can see some brilliant fights in 2023. I asked you in my recent poll what fight you would like to see next year, but you also gave me some other interesting matchups, which I also want to see. But in the case of this video, I'll give you my 12 fights I think as fans we want to see next year, why they will be good fights. I'll also give you my score in terms of how likely I think they could happen, as let's be honest, boxing can really disappoint us at times. So on that note, let's get right into my top 12 fights I want to see in 2023. Golovkin vs Munguia. Personally, I'm sick and tired of Munguia taking all these random fights we all know he's going to win, as, let's be honest, it's really starting to be a padded out record, and you have to ask the questions around his management team and promotion in terms of what is going on with him. He obviously recently dropped out the chance to fight the Kazakh Janibek, which, let's be honest, would have been a great fight. And if he's going to talk about taking the reins from Canelo as Mexico's face of boxing, I believe the huge fight they need to make happen is against Golovkin. I also think for Golovkin, if he does decide to fight on, this will be a fight that will generate huge amounts of money. And even though he is in his 40s now, it still might be the perfect time to beat a guy like Munguia. But knowing Golovkin's history with Golden Boy fighters, this might be one he might want to avoid himself. I'll give this a 6 out of 10 in terms of happening. Number 11. Jesse Bam Rodriguez and Ray Martinez. Now, Bam Rodriguez has made it clear he will move down to fight at flyweight. If I'm being honest, the fight with the switch-hitting Mexican Martinez is probably most likely to happen at some point next year. There has obviously been reports around Sonny Edwards, and that's a fight I'd like to see too. But for me, the Ray Martinez fight just makes a lot more sense. And he's also shown that he likes to step up, as he proved this when he faced Chocolatito. Bam for me is one of the most exciting fighters in the sport, and I do think the fight would be an exciting matchup. I give this an 8 out of 10. Number 10, Taylor Kattar. Now this was actually a fight I attended the first time around, and if I'm being honest, everyone really did know Kattar won that fight. Since then, Taylor has taken a long layoff, but if he wishes to cement his legacy as one of the very best at 140, this is a fight he has to take to redeem himself, or the backlash will follow him for the rest of his life. I also think it would be fair to Kattar to get the chance to prove he really is the man. There has been lots of reports that this fight has been accepted, and so I'll give this a 9 out of 10 chance of happening. Number 9, Anui vs Fulton. Now, after Anui's comfortable win over Paul Butler to become undisputed, there really is nothing left for him to stay down at 118 pounds. The next best move is to simply move up in weight and fight the best in another division. In the division above him, the highly rated and unified super bantamweight champion Cool Boy Stephen Fulton is there, and this would be a brilliant clash of styles for many. Fulton has a very slick and skilled style, while the monster likes to use his athleticism, his pressure and power punching to take out opponents. But as much as I would love this fight to happen, I just can't see it happening anytime soon. Fulton is rumoured that he wants to actually move up to featherweight, while it also doesn't help that they fight for opposing promotional promoters and networks. If I'm being honest, I give this a 2 out of 10 of happening. Number 8, Wilder vs Joshua. Now this was a fight that was talked about way back in 2018, when both men were still champions. However, we live in a very different reality now, where they have both suffered defeats to the new top dogs of the division, Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. Nevertheless, both of them still have much to offer to the sport in my opinion, and have exciting styles where either man could be knocked out. At the moment, they are both on their so-called comebacks to the top, and with conversations around Wilder vs Ruiz and Joshua White 2 happening instead, there could still be hope of this happening, especially if Usyk and Fury end up fighting themselves. However, the issue with their management teams with Eddie Hearn and Shelley Finkel never really being in the best of terms, I still don't really see this fight happening. However, you never know, I give this a 3 out of 10. Number 7, Haney vs Lomachenko. Ever since Lomachenko lost to Teofimo Lopez to become undisputed champion, many have said this is the end of Loma's run. But since that defeat, he's had 3 solid wins over Comey, Ortiz and Nakatani. Haney on the other hand has taken his opportunities and got the chance to go to Australia, defeating George Kambosos twice to become the undisputed champion. but there's still question marks over whether he really is all he makes out. And for him to do this, he does need to fight one of the other top lightweight contenders. Fighting against an arguably aging Lomachenko could be his best chance to get that defining fight to really prove he is the top man. But we also need to consider Haney did not look great at the weigh-in versus Kambosos, and even said he might have to move up to 140 soon. Despite this, I think fans would love to see Loma get that last opportunity for Undisputed and see if Haney can prove us wrong by defeating the all-time great Ukrainian. As both are fighting for top rank right now, I give this a 6 out of 10 chance. Number 6. Plant vs Benavidez. This is a fight that does seem to be agreed upon in principle, with both fighters announcing on their social media alongside PBC that the fight will happen in 2023, with March seemingly being the time that this could potentially happen. Personally, I think this is a brilliant fight stylistically. Benavidez has an aggressive swarmer style, while Plant is the more technical pure boxer who likes to fight on the back foot and counterpunch. From all the reports, it does seem like this will go ahead in 2023, and most boxing fans do not want to miss this. I give this a 9 out of 10 chance. Number 5. Canelo vs Benavidez. This has to be one of the fights I see fans call out so often, but whether it happens or not really depends on Canelo and whether he wants to take a warm-up to come back and fight someone like John Ryder, or step right back in with Bivol for the rematch. Stylistically, Canelo vs Benavidez is something I think we all want to see. They both like to come forward, they can both act as aggressive counterpunchers and get knockouts. Personally, I think the only real chance of this happening is obviously if Benavidez defeats Plant, which would therefore put more pressure on the Mexican to take the fight. In my opinion, the Mexican star should try and take this fight sooner rather than later, as Benavidez is only going to get better over the next couple of years. But in terms of this actually happening in 2023, it's hard to see, as Canelo does seem set on getting that rematch with Bivol. Number 4. Bivol vs Beterbiev. So I saw a lot of you in the comments of my poll that this was the fight you really wanted to see. 2022 really was a breakthrough year for Bivol, as he earned himself 2 defining wins over the pound for pound star Canelo Alvarez and the hard hitting southpaw Ramirez with ease. Canelo is now the one pushing for the rematch with Bivol. Sure, there would be a lot of money on the table, but the fight he really wants is against his monster countryman Beterbiev. Beterbiev though will be fighting Anthony Yarde in January, and if he gets through that unscathed, there's no reason why the fight with Bivol cannot happen anytime soon in 2023. However, something just tells me with the likes of Top Rank involved with Beterbiev, this could just be a difficult one to make, and I give this a 5 out of 10. Number 3. Fury vs Usyk. We haven't had an undisputed champion since Lennox Lewis, and this has been the first time in a while of the best chance of it happening. There has been rumours that the teams have been negotiating a deal on the sides, and this could happen in the first 6 months in 2023 in the Middle East. But the recent call from the WBA for Usyk to fight Dubois might just put this on delay again from happening. Not only that, Fury for all we know might retire again or take on a leftover opponent instead of going for undisputed. Nevertheless, stylistically, I am very intrigued to see how Usyk handles the size of Fury, while I'm also interested to see how Fury would address Usyk's movement and southpaw stance, something he struggled against in the past. Personally, this is another 50-50 in terms of happening in 2023. Number 2. Tank vs Ryan Garcia. Similarly to the Plant Benavidez situation, it looks like this fight might be agreed upon in principle. And if I'm being honest, I think this has the potential to be an absolute firecracker stylistically. Tank is a devastating southpaw counterpuncher, while Ryan Garcia has some of the fastest hands and a devastating left hook. There's also issues with both men fighting on different networks, DAZN and Showtime. However, it does seem that this will be some sort of co-promotion between PBC and Golden Boy, likewise with the networks with Showtime and DAZN. While it also helps that Tank Davis has now left Mayweather Promotions, so he can do his own thing and try and make some of these big fights happen at 135 to 140 pounds. With a date still to officially be confirmed, there's still part of me that just thinks this might all fall through, but hopefully we'll have a better idea after Tank fights in January. I'll give this a 6 out of 10 chance. Number 1. Spence vs Crawford. In my opinion, this is another true super fight in boxing that should happen this year. But with Crawford being rigid in his place in terms of the negotiations with Al Haymon, PBC and Spence, it looks like this fight will take a lot longer to happen. And it is slowly in danger of turning into another Mayweather-Pacquiao situation where it ends up being a fight that should have happened many years before. As Crawford is now fought at the end of this year, Spence will no doubt also want a fight early next year as a tune-up before he fights Terence if it's to happen. However, I really do think it benefits these two to fight soon, as the hungry and very talented young lions in Jerome Boots Ennis and Ortiz Jr. are licking their lips at the chance for a world title shot. There's only so much longer they can both hold them off. We just have to hope they can get back to the negotiations table and make this fight happen finally in 2023. I give this a 4 out of 10 chance. And that wraps up my 12 most wanted fights for next year. How many do you guys think could actually happen? Or is there a fight that I've missed out that you would like to see next year? This has been Jamie from Boxing Life. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.